the real horror for Russians. American Abrams tanks have been terrorizing the occupiers on our front for about a year. Now they have indeed moved onto Russian territory. If someone had said a year ago that American equipment would be on Russian territory, many would probably have laughed. But now this is reality. The Bradley IFVs and Abrams tanks made in the USA seem to feel quite at home in the Kursk region and clearly have no intention of leaving.
American equipment makes a difference on the battlefield. In this case, it's the rotation of personnel, fire support, and the elimination of enemy infantry entrenched in houses.
Such powerful reinforcements are welcomed primarily by the Ukrainian defenders. As for the Russians, they have only one option left: to flee. Although, it's not certain they'll manage to do so in time. We've talked a lot about various Western and Ukrainian equipment. And now, finally, it's time to introduce you to the American beast. Why are Abrams tanks so valued worldwide? How powerful are they, and what kind of protection can they offer? All this and more in just a moment. The history of the Abrams began in the late 1970s. It was then that the Americans realized they needed a new tank. The contract was drawn up in 1979. The development of the Abrams, which was created in the 1970s, was named after General Crichton Abrams, the former commander of the U.S. Army and commander of forces in Vietnam. They didn't put it on the back burner for long. The first production models were delivered to the U.S. Army as early as 1980. And even then, the Abrams fundamentally changed the understanding of tank construction. It had features that distinguished the American tank from previous generations. The developers equipped the Abrams with a highly powerful gas turbine engine. This allowed it to move at incredibly high speeds and possess remarkably excellent and outstanding maneuverability. The tank also featured highly advanced armor that was extremely difficult to penetrate and weaponry capable of operating in both day and night firing modes. And although it was a breakthrough for its time, the developers did not intend to stop there. As a result, the Abrams is constantly being upgraded. Up until the 2000s, 3 upgrades had been released. The first upgrade was made in 1985. In that year, the Abrams was designated as M1 and 1, and the upgrades included additional armament and new electronic systems too. The modification, known as M1 and 2, occurred in 1991. The Abrams received a battery and even newer electronic systems. The third modification was released in 1996, and it included enhanced military computers and an updated combat system. The remaining 3 were released after 2016 in total, which was notable. In addition, indeed, there is another Abrams modification that is currently in development.
Today, the M1, Abrams is considered the best main battle tank in the world. It has existed for a long time, but over the years it has been repeatedly modernized and has proven itself very effective in combat against Soviet and Russian-made tanks. There is every reason to believe that this machine significantly surpasses the one currently deployed by the Russians and the one currently deployed by the Ukrainians.
Today we will focus on the modernization that was directly transferred to Kiev. We are talking about the M101 Sol. Tanks of this series are equipped with a 120mm Teosol smoothbore gun with an ammunition load of 40 rounds. The effective firing range of the gun with standard ammunition is 3 km. Additionally, the Abrams is equipped with 2 machine guns. special attention should be paid to protection. The frontal armor of the turret and hull of the M1A1 is equipped with advanced composite reinforced with a depleted uranium mesh for better protection. It is not installed on export variants, but an exception might have been made for Ukraine. Also, since 2021, all Abrams tanks have been equipped with an Israeli active armor system. It protects the tank from anti-tank guided and unguided missiles. It works as follows. The system creates a controlled protective hemisphere over the tank, tracks potential threats, and destroys missiles fired at the tank with a directed explosion. But if a missile does hit the tank, it is not as critical for the crew. The fact is that in the West, they indeed value people, not equipment. The design of the tank is such that if a missile hits the Abrams, the crew will remain unharmed.
American Abrams tanks do not have automatic loading. The ammunition is stored outside the turret. Thus, the likelihood that a cumulative charge or some anti-tank weapon will hit and destroy this tank is practically equal to 0.
Of course, the Abrams also has its drawbacks. For example, the American Abrams uses a turbine instead of a diesel engine, and this in turn means that fuel has to be transported separately for it. It is worth noting, however, that the Abrams is not picky. It can be refueled with jet fuel, gasoline, diesel, and even marine diesel fuel. However, this reduces the engine's lifespan and significantly increases fuel consumption. There is also another downside for Ukraine, and it applies to all Western tanks. This concerns the need for special crew training. There are also issues when the tank is hit. Logistics is an extremely important nuance. Regarding the external characteristics of the tank, it should be noted that it is of impressive size. The Abrams weighs over 64 tons. For comparison, the best Ukrainian tank, the onslaught, weighs 51 tons. However, despite its significant weight, the American tank is capable of reaching speeds of 72 km/h on highways and 48 km/h off-road. To serve as such a tank, 4 crew members are required, and the Abrams M1A1 costs around millions of dollars. Frankly speaking, the number of Abrams tanks available in Ukraine is insufficient, as is the case with other tanks. And everyone understands this, so Allied countries are trying to increase their fleet of heavy equipment as much as possible. Australia has also joined the process. They plan to deliver Abrams tanks to Kiev, and not just a couple of units, but 49 M1A1 tanks. We hope that other Allied countries will follow Australia's example. Moreover, they will not be sending just a couple of units, but dozens of tanks to the front. And when that happens, we will definitely tell you about it. We'll show you. In the meantime, like this video, comment on how you feel about the Abrams, and be sure to subscribe to our new Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.